Thank you for joining me today for another episode on the Anchored in Messiah program right here on HRN Revive TV. Today's episode is titled, What Does It Look Like to Lay Down Your Life for a Friend? Let's begin first with John chapter 15 and verses 13, and it reads, Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. As you already know, nothing can be far worse in a friendship than to know that the one you have placed your whole trust in and who you've called friend would later betray you. We all know it's a painful thing to experience a friendship gone wrong, and if ever there was an opportunity to restore a relationship that was once betrayed, it could take a lifetime to restore. Friends in our life, they come and they go, but Yeshua set the greatest example to each of us when he laid down his life for the whole world that he loved, even until death. So as we look deeper at the word friend, we read in the scriptures that Yahweh chose Abraham, whom he called friend. And later we read in the Gospels where Yeshua says, you didn't choose me, but I chose you, and I call you friend. So the first thing we need to look at in John chapter 15 and verses 13 is the word friend. The question we need to ask ourselves is this: who in your life or in your circle do you consider or call a friend? In Proverbs chapter 18 and verses 24 it reads, A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Also the prophet writes this in Isaiah chapter 41 and verses 8, But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend. In the Webster 1828 dictionary defines friend as this: the one who is attached to another by affection, which could help shed some light on John chapter 15, and I'll read more in context of John chapter 15, beginning at verses 4, and it reads, Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers, and the branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. As you can tell, the word abide is mentioned several times in this passage. And as I just read a moment ago in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, a friend is one you are closely attached to by affection, or one who stands together or binds together. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verses 9 through 12, it reads, Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. I want to be very clear here, and this is just my opinion, but could it be that laying down your life for a friend be the one you're in covenant with? For example, a brother or sister in Yeshua. I'm asking that as a question, in all honesty, I do not know. I seem to think it could be, but I can't invalidate it. Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 17 reads, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." So laying down your life for a friend doesn't mean that you physically lay down on your friend by watching them fall by the wayside, but rather be there for them. As my pastor says often, the only time you should look down on a person is when you're helping them back up. So could laying down your life for a friend also be related to laying down your life for a coworker, a neighbor, or a stranger in public, or just in passing? I'm not so sure. We know that Yeshua said that the greatest and the first commandment is that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And the second is like this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And thy neighbor could cover a lot of areas when dealing with humanity. This is what one commentator wrote in the Faith Life Study Bible. To be a neighbor, according to Yeshua, or Jesus, means to come alongside someone. As Christian Americans, we must remember that we are Christians first and Americans second. Our nationality should never surpass our faith and its duties. So, with that being said, Israel was supposed to be a light to the nations. And if they would have been obedient, which they weren't, the nations would have imitated Israel as Israel imitated the Creator. In Philippians chapter 2 and verses 3 it reads, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." There are so many ways we can look at laying your life down for a friend and possibly get it right, but we could also get it wrong too. But however, I want to play it safe and not pinpoint or narrow down any specifics of what I think it is until Yahweh gives me a better understanding. So from here, I want to take a look at this verse from a different angle, if you would allow me. We know that Yeshua ultimately laid down his life for the whole world, and we on behalf of Yeshua take part in his death and resurrection daily by dying to self and serving others. And if you're like me, you may ask, how do I lay down my life for a friend? Most times when we think of laying our life down for a friend, we tend to associate it with blood, by physically and literally giving up our life by way of death, like a band of brothers or one who is fighting a war alongside other soldiers. So what does it look like to lay down your life for a friend without physically dying for them? In 1 John chapter 3 in verses 16 through 17 reads, "By this we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him?" So here again we see that word abide, which again means to be fixed or attached to another by affection. However, my view on laying down your life for a friend may look different than yours or the next person, but could laying down your life for a friend also include your neighbor, co-worker, or even the stranger? I don't know. That's a question I'm asking, and if you have the answer, I would love to hear the input. So laying down your life for a friend could look something similar to what I'm about to share with you, and you may or may not agree, but I think it's very important for us to know and apply this to our life. So let's just say it's been a long day at work and you're very tired, and you have a friend who is in need of help due to a breakdown on their vehicle, or possibly a water line has busted in their house, or a friend who just needs to talk. At that moment, in our tiredness, are we willing to pause or put on hold what we're doing and lend a hand by contributing our time and focusing on them rather than us? Let me read you something that I came across on the internet, and which I could never pinpoint the author or publisher's name, and I feel it is fitting for this session, and it reads, "If my neighbor needed a cup of sugar, I would give it to him. But what if he needed a friend? If my neighbor needed bread, I would share with him. But what if he needed love? If my neighbor needed shoes, I would provide them for him. But what if he needed compassion? If my neighbor needed water, I would dig him a well. But what if he needed God? In Matthew chapter 25, verses 42 through 45, it reads, "For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they also will answer, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not minister to you?" Then he will answer them, saying, "Truly I say to you, as you did not to do it unto one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." So, if there is ever an opportunity to lay down your life for a friend or someone in need, it doesn't always mean you have to die for them physically. However, there is more than one way we can look at this. When you help a person in need, whether they're broken down on the side of the highway, someone needing help with moving to a new location, a widow who needs their grass cut, or a shut-in who needs a hot meal, or possibly a stranger who needs you to pray for them just in passing, please, if you're able to at all, at least make the attempt to pray for that stranger right then and there and not later, only if the opportunity and the time is available. And I know sometimes we live life in a rush, but I find it necessary sometimes just to stop what we're doing and pray for that person that we met in Walmart or the local supermarket. So as I bring this session to a close, I want to share with you what I feel is a true demonstration of laying down your life for a friend. Laying down your life for a friend is living a selfless life by giving up your time by way of seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and or years, by serving and investing time in others rather than yourself. Because life on earth does equal time, and time equals life. But another way to look at laying down your life for a friend could mean placing your life on hold for another. It's up to each one of us if we're going to place our lives on hold or pause it for another by serving them and showing them acts of compassion and observing their spiritual and physical needs. So, are you and I willing to forfeit our life, our time, our days, minutes, seconds, years, months, whatever the case may be, for self only or for others who are in need? I pray that we can serve others as Yeshua serves us. And may Yahweh give us strength to do so. I hope you have enjoyed today's teaching and we're able to glean something from it. And until next time, Shalom.